Dun, 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 kilted balls.
Wow.
I think I beat you that time.
Yeah.
Darn it.
My stuff is a little slow.
Oh, man. Well, welcome back, people, to the Kilted Balls podcast. We're recording on a different time. I'm in a different location. This might be my new favorite location.
It is
Kind,
pretty awesome.
I kind of just like the aesthetic here where I'm at versus where I've been. I might start recording from this spot. I kind of like it.
The
So,
natural light in there is awesome.
right? Isn't that cool? And I don't even have all the shades open. I'm like, it's
Mm.
just kind of neat. Of course, most of the time when we record, there's no natural light, so there's that. But
Yeah, that's true.
you know, it's a little bit different. So, are you at your new home slash warehouse?
I am. Well, it's not quite new yet, but yes, we're in the process. We're getting closer.
Yeah, I can see aquariums behind you, and I can see Molly Bean there.
Yeah, we got the rack set up. Molly Bean's here on my lap.
Oh
If
my
you sit down
gosh.
in here, she won't leave you alone.
Yeah,
So,
she seems very lovey. Well, welcome everyone back to the Kilted Balls podcast. Hopefully, you've had a great week. A little bit longer gap between our podcasts. Still got it in within the week, which is kind of cool.
yeah, we
Makes me
did.
happy.
We did. I was getting concerned because you're
And I
usually
kind of lost
busy
my
on
mind.
Friday nights. So being
Yeah.
able to catch up right now works out perfectly.
Yeah, what was our deal Tuesday? Oh, it was Halloween Tuesday. So yeah,
Halloween.
Halloween was Tuesday, so we didn't record Tuesday. Wednesday was in shambles. We didn't get to record there. Thursday,
Mhm.
we had stuff going on. It's just been a weird week. So
Yeah.
yeah, fun to get to. Hopefully everybody had a great Halloween, All Hallows Eve and All Souls Day and All Saints Day following. So
Yep. And
fun
not eating
stuff.
too much kids' candy, hopefully,
Yeah, how's
so that
your
they don't
sugar
grow up.
fast been going when you have like a big candy day?
Fast is stretched right now. Well, I guess like I've definitely I guess the big thing I'm looking at is that I'm being very conscious of it. So I haven't eaten more than one piece of candy each of the last couple days.
That's amazing because
So
like I even saw some people today who were like, once I start eating the candy, if it's in the house, I just keep eating it.
yep. Oh, I lie. I had three baby things of gummy bears on Halloween, but besides that, the other days.
I don't
But
think
even
those
just
even
only three
count.
packages of baby gummy bears, that's really good. So I think
That's
that's the
awesome.
biggest thing. I'm just really watching it, and I went 3 days without. Although the book I'm listening to right now says that people with just they're talking about food problems in general, like
Hmm.
moderation is almost impossible. Like to just you have to go, just say no.
You just have to say no what?
You just have to say no.
No, like
It's a
cold
book.
turkey it.
Yeah, just cold turkey. Like it, well, it's called Younger Next Year, and it's a book that Jason told me about. It's super, super good, actually. I'm about halfway through right now.
Younger next year. Who's it by? Do you remember?
I can tell you.
I know I put you on the spot all the time.
I know. Younger Next Year. It's by. Oh, it's not. Yeah, my eyesight. Dang it.
Well, don't worry, people. We'll put it in the comments on the video and on the Twitter stream so you guys can
Yes,
look
we'll
at it.
go
We'll put
there.
it in the description. So, younger next year. And you and Jason both think it's good.
Yep, yep. He suggested it. Chris Crowley.
Chris Crowley. All right.
So yeah, he had suggested it when we were down in Florida. He is telling Gina and I about it, and it's about getting older, not gracefully, but really taking a hold of that and doing what you can to have a good life in your 80s, 90s, and down the road.
Sure. And he is talking about people who have trouble with moderation.
Well, in that chapter, he's talking about food
Hmm.
in particular, and like the foods that are like super bad for you. Like his example was for him, he couldn't just have French fries every now and then. Like if he was having French fries, he'd have a ton of French fries, and for one, eating the potato and then it's deep fried, and then like all of that stuff, and the starch sugars not being good for him and what he's trying to do for himself. and just he had to cut it because he couldn't eat just like a few fries. He would eat a ton of like supersize it.
Yeah, I mean I could see that. That's what I was wondering about. So someone like me who like if I'm eating fries and I decide I'm done and I just stop eating fries, that's not who he's
Yeah.
talking to.
Yes.
Though
Yes.
though that being said, little known fact about Ball that some of you don't know, I often can eat and the way people tell I'm full is I start coughing.
Yeah.
So
Well,
like
when
the
you were
other
younger, you stuff it in your cheeks.
right. So when I was younger, I would eat so much and my cheeks would fill up. I'd be like, and people would be like, you're full, you should stop eating. I'd be like, oh, I'm full. Like I don't have a lot of times I don't have that thing that tells me I'm full,
Hmm.
so I'll just keep eating. But the coughing one like will happen sometimes. And like just the other day, one of my daughters, it might have even been Halloween, she like got me Chinese food and I'm like, sweet Chinese food. And I'm like eating and I don't know what kind of a single portion it was, but it was huge. I think there was a whole chicken in it. And so I'm just like eating it. And all of a sudden my wife is like, you need to stop eating. I can hear you coughing. And I'm like, I ain't coughing. She's like, you're coughing. Stop eating. You're full. I'm like, dang it.
It's so
So
good though.
it's so good. So it's funny though, because like then I put it away, right? Like I'm like, oh, I guess I am full. And so I put it away. So I don't have necessarily that issue of moderation.
Yeah.
That being said, I can eat vast quantities of food and I just don't care.
Yeah. Hmm.
But that's a thing, that's for sure.
Well,
And I
you're
know,
still, I mean, you're still very, very fit too. You do a lot of things to stay, and that's one of the the big things in the book that they're talking about is you have to get moving.
yeah.
Like the book is geared towards like 50, 60-year olds. So
Hmm.
being able to read it at a younger age, I think it comes with advantages, but that's, that he's talking about when people retire, they stop moving and they die.
Yes,
So
yes.
starting it now, keeping, a regiment where, they're just like, work out an hour a day, like go for a fast walk, like just get your heart moving. And then, there's different steps. Like if people are ready, they talk about the weightlifting and things like that, that can really help. And it really helps, clear out old cells and things like that when you're breaking those muscles down. So it was
Hmm.
really, it's a guy, it's actually two people that I think the Chris guy is the one whose idea it was. He's the idea guy, and it has a lot of the fun stories. And then he's working with a doctor who is like giving the bio behind it all and why it makes sense. And so the chapters are broken up like that, which is really cool too.
That's fun. That's fun. It's interesting because I was just having the thought in a similar vein, but like a totally different vein. We just
Hmm.
had a death in the family where Rick's dad passed. Um,
Okay.
Kind of suddenly had a heart attack and passed. And, so it's kind of sad here, another one of those deaths in the family kind of thing. And
Hmm.
that was like yesterday. So not very far away from today. But like one of the things, like when I'm getting texts that are like, oh yeah, he passed and stuff, I'm like, oh man, people are going to be feeling so guilty. Like I wrote that in my text. I'm like, people are going to be feeling so guilty. And when we kind of got together that night, Amy was like, yeah, a few of the kiddos are just racked with guilt because the guy the night before, he'd been working, like he likes to do stuff. Like he's kind of a
Hmm.
handyman. I think he was like working on a laundry room. And he gets
Yeah.
done. He's like, yeah, I'm having like a panic attack and my chest is really sore and this and that. And I feel nauseous. And, he's like, it's probably just from working. And they're like, oh, well, make sure you get some sleep, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
And then he woke up in the night and he wasn't feeling good. And I think the wife was like, oh, yeah, probably from working. And then he passed. Then I'm like,
Yeah.
he was having heart attacks that whole time. I'm like,
Yeah.
he could have been saved. Like, and so like they've got medical people in the family and they're like, oh my gosh, we feel so guilty. But they're like, how would we know? Like, and I'm like, listen, once a person gets to a certain age, especially if they're guys, they're just dumb. You have to tell them to
Yeah.
go to the doctors when it's a weird thing. And, Amy was like, yeah, but like I have panic attacks and stuff. I'm like, right, but it's different when you're in your 40s and you don't have like
Hmm.
any history. I go, but once you get into your 50s and 60s, you have to listen to your body. And if
Hmm.
you're not prone to panic attacks and all of a sudden you start having a
Yeah.
panic attack, that's
Yeah.
probably not a panic attack, right? And if your chest is hurting, like it's, you can go and get it checked out. Like
Yeah.
it's probably worth it, or at least take an aspirin.
Yeah. Well, it's
So,
funny because the I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in there that I think Gina will really like, and I was telling
mhm.
her about it. But the book, a lot of it's really geared towards men because,
Yes.
just like you said, we get older, we're really dumb. A lot of people will shut themselves off because that's like the chapter I was just listening to. Like, especially like with mates and things like that. Like, if something happens and you're single, like you don't have a wife, like close friends are super important, all this stuff. And a lot of
Yes.
people,
Yes.
as they get older, like sometimes, things happen or whatever, but just the importance of that. And, that's one thing I was super thankful for. We're young, but, I
Yes.
see us, staying strong friends on, all the way to the end. So,
I would
stuff
think
like that.
so.
I think so. I think we've
Yeah.
gotten past all the chaos that would cause something not to.
We're kind of to that old age part where things don't change just out of pure laziness. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and as a side note to our female listeners, remember heart attack signs for females are completely different than males, right? So whenever they're talking about, oh, be aware of these symptoms of a heart attack, they're talking to men. Yours
Oh, I
are,
didn't realize that.
oh, yeah, women are completely different when they have heart attacks. And so what'll happen is with women, they'll have a heart attack and they won't know they're having a heart attack because they'll be like, oh, well, I didn't have any of these symptoms. Right. Because those symptoms are for men, not for women.
Do you know the symptoms for women?
I am not a woman. No. Mm-mm. I
See?
barely know the symptoms for men.
I've never heard that before. That's super interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Amy's told me that a few times where she's like, oh my gosh, I think, I'm having a heart attack. And I'll be like, why? And she'll like go through them. I'm like, oh, those are the symptoms. And she's like, yeah, because it's different for women. And I'm like, oh, she goes, do you think I should go checked out? And I'll be like, no, you're just being weird. So, but yeah, that's
Maybe
kind
it
of a
was
thing.
panic attack, so it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, interesting stuff, and
Yeah,
I'll
for
have to
sure.
like give that a look. And I think it is important. And one of the things I tell people all the time is you just got to stay moving, right? You just got to
Yeah.
be, and that's hard. Like I was talking to somebody just recently about this. I'm like, if you're in a position like mine where I'm up all day, it's not that hard, right? But
Hmm.
if you're working an office job 9 to 5, you really have to build that time into your day where you do.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, what if I retire? Would I like get up every day and go work out or go to the gym? And I'm like, I've always wanted to. And every time I say I always want to, I never do it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, right?
It's not a priority.
It's not. And I like during the summers, I'm always like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get up every day and do this. And then I never do. So I'm like, you know what? That I think if I ever retired, I would have to do that. Like I'd have to say, nope,
Yeah.
I'm going to get up every day and do a thing. Right.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to. So I didn't become sedentary. Sedentary.
Hmm.
There we go.
Yeah, it'd be easy to do because you get up, you eat and play a couple games, and you're just kind of hang out, and especially like if the little ones are at school and you're not chasing them around and everything. So
Right. Right. Like it'd be
mhm.
so easy to do, I think. So yeah. So yeah, listeners, get your butt moving. Get your butt
Yeah,
moving.
no
So
kidding.
and it
Well,
makes
I
a
and
huge difference, right? Like look at
yeah,
Stacy. Like she just started moving a little bit and freaking running marathons and doing all sorts of crazy activities. Like
yeah, it's super awesome.
it's awesome. Crazy awesome.
So I because we're gonna be here, and I knew that there was I talked about the bus stop a couple episodes ago. So I called today and she's checking on it. but one of the bus stops is right by a disc golf course. So I was like, yeah, like even just to take like, a putter and like one other disc and get in a quick round in the morning or in the afternoon. I'm like, I hope this works out. That'd be super awesome.
No, my gosh, I'd be so jealous, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, we got asked yesterday, you and I did, hey, when was the last time you disc golfed? And I was like, oh, it's been too long. Like I keep wanting to go, but I'm always too busy to get out there and go. And again,
Yeah.
definitely not a priority, right? So it doesn't get
Yeah, exactly.
anywhere near the top of the list. So man, and you had cold weather too. Didn't you guys say it was like 30s down there?
Yeah, we had freeze warning. It's warming up now, but even like the office area here, it got down to 68 degrees, and that's with the
Ooh.
doors open.
So that's funny
But
that
I still
yours got down to there because ours got up to there last night or the night day
have,
before.
no, but I mean with the miners running, it was down to
Oh,
68. Yeah.
okay.
Uh,
I
like
forgot you have the
that's
minors.
down, yeah.
Man, it's nice.
So usually,
The best part about the minors is that you forget we have minors.
hmm,
So I like that. I like that.
yeah, it is super awesome.
Heck yeah, that's like terrific. I saw a few places are like thinking that they're more green than they first thought because of how they're being used. And I'm like, I love
Hmm.
that. Love that.
Yeah, I saw a news article like that too. Must have been the same one.
Yeah. They kind of cut out there. There's something I was about to say. Oh, I noticed you're getting scruffy. I too am scruffy.
Are you doing No Shave November?
I am just lazy. So,
Okay. I started early, so it looks like I can actually grow hair. So,
so I think it was like Monday. Like I traditionally shave Monday morning, and Monday morning I forget what was going on. I'm like, yeah, I'm not shaving. I don't care. And
mhm.
then like the next day I was like, yeah, I'm not shaving. And then I
Yeah.
was like, somebody was like, oh, are you doing No Shave November? And I'm like, no, I'm just lazy. Like so. But then I was like, ooh, maybe I would look good. Like, let this all grow out, let this all grow out. But,
Mhm.
and somebody was like, man, I love that kind of like scruffy look. And I'm like, yeah, I go, that's why I have to shave it down. And they're like, why? And I'm like, I'm just like way too attractive when this is all like scruffy and this is scruffy. I'm like, I got to like beat people away. And I imagine you have the same problem, right? Like, Gina's probably
Yes,
all
yes.
over you right now.
Yeah, it
It's a thing.
happens.
It's a thing, right? So
Mhm.
you got to take care of yourself by making
Yeah.
yourself ugly.
And she said my tummy is looking smaller, so I thought
Oh,
that was
oh no. And does she like that? Because some people would rather have a tummy.
good. She does like it, so that's good.
You got to have
That's actually
just the right proportions to have a correct dad bod. So
Oh, okay. I'm trying not to have it that bad.
I mean, you've got to have a dad bod. That's the sexy part is having a dad bod. So you got to keep it just right. You don't want it to be too fat so that you look like you have a beer body, but you don't want to be
Okay.
too thin where you're looking like a CrossFit guy. You got to have that dad
That
bod,
makes sense. That
right?
makes sense.
It's a fine line. It's a fine line. Are you worried at all with your sugar, jumping back to that, that you'll get diabetes like some of our friends have had? Is that one of your worries?
Um, Not necessarily. I mean, it's something that can happen. I've heard
Yeah.
if you have too much sugar, in your bloodstream, and that's the thing. So I'd rather avoid that, especially like our one good friend. It sounded like that was not exciting as
Yeah.
an adult for that to happen. So more just like we've talked about it on here many times. I 120 is in my mind a possibility, and I want it to be a great 120. So if that's something that's going to
For your
help it
weight,
along
right?
for
For
now,
your weight.
no, no, for my age,
Oh,
no.
oh, your age.
I don't think I've been 120 since like fourth grade.
I think the last time I was 120 was seventh or eighth grade. I think eighth grade, I was 115, 120. It's been a
Okay,
long
see,
time. A long
yeah,
time. I was very skinny then and did not have these shoulders.
that's funny.
Yep. Oh, a
But
tailbone.
yeah, no, just a lot of things have been coming up in my life to like pointing towards like having a more healthy body.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that does go back to, yes, what you're putting in, and what you're expecting out of it.
Well, and it's important because if you look at us, right,
Hmm.
we are at an age right now where I was thinking about this the other day, which is mildly kind of spooky, but it's Halloween and stuff.
Hmm.
But if you're like, okay, if I live to the average age for males, which is the 80s, barely,
Hmm.
um, we're past the halfway point, right? Like, and that's one of the things I was thinking about. Like, man, some people don't retire until their 60s. I'm like, if they're
Hmm.
playing statistics, they're retiring and they only have 20 years to do whatever they're going to do. I'm like, that seems kind of weird unless you love what you're
Hmm.
doing. Somebody the other day was
Yeah.
like, man, I love what I'm doing. I'm like, that's my deal. Like, this is what I want to
Yeah.
do. So, but it's just an interesting thing to think about that. You're
Yeah.
like, ooh, I could be on the downward slope. And if you don't want to spend it feeling crappy, you kind of got to do
Yeah.
stuff now, which is the hard thing for me. Like, I'm like, or I can just take a nap.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely not easy, and it's something that's been coming up a lot over the last few years. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just paying more attention to it now.
I think that's super smart. I wish I paid more attention to it. I'm hoping that this winter I normally get in better shape because it's wrestling
Yeah,
season.
you
So we'll see if that happens this year. If I'm super lazy and not in shape, you know,
do.
and we'll see how that works. Otherwise, I'm going to have to like get a gym membership or something, which would be weird.
Uh-oh, that would be weird. I remember you guys used to laugh at me.
Oh my gosh, I still laugh at people, and I'm like, I have a gym. Why would I get a membership
Yeah,
to a
exactly. Why
gym
would
when
I
I have a
even do
gym?
that?
Like, that doesn't even make any sense. But yeah, no,
Mhm.
I think that's good. So listeners, be worried about your health. Focus on, your eating and your movement. And it doesn't have to be onerous, right? Like it doesn't have to be a
No.
thing. So just get up and move and make sure that you're not eating constantly bad food, which is my problem. I will constantly eat bad food. So I have to be
Hmm.
careful to sometimes putting good food in there too.
That's pretty good food is good.
Well, for me, I love all food. Like for me, it's
Hmm.
pure convenience. So I'm going to eat whatever is the fastest and easiest for me to eat, or I just won't eat. So that happens a lot of days where I'm just like, yeah, nothing's around me. I'm just not going to eat.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, I think a good time, good discussion today, listeners. I hope you got
Heck yeah.
something out of it and you enjoy this kind of end of the week podcast. Until next time, this is Ballbuster signing off.
Get the Dragon Jared. Love you all.